Growing My Grandpa is the first game we've chosen for today, and I hope it's going to be cool. Growing My Grandpa is a Cronenberg-inspired point-and-click adventure game with virtual pet elements that puts a heavy emphasis on exploration and lore. Came out July 12th, so 4 days ago. Developed and published by Yames. It is $5, and you can get the soundtrack for $2 more. Soundtrack, eh? Must be proud of it. I'm excited. Let's go. Ooh, photosensitivity warning, guys. Blood and gore. Mouse and keyboard. Press F3 to disable or change shader intensity. Ooh, God. Okay. Ah, there we go. I mean, I don't know. Do we need that? It's kind of, yeah, you know what? We'll change it if it gets really bad. Like if we start really hating the wiggly numbers. But right now I'm kind of on the fence. Like, maybe it won't matter. No, you hate it? We all hate it. Okay. Okay, we hate it. Sounds good. Well, let's just get into the game and see if it's bad. Would you like to view the tutorial regarding basic game mechanics? Yes. Please read. Yep. Okay. If it's gonna make me read shit, then I can't do it. Please read. This game is designed to be played with a mouse. The input required of you is based around clicking the mouse buttons. The right mouse button will change the cursor's image and function. Oh, okay. Only when pointing, indicated by the index finger, can you, the player, interact with certain menu buttons and prompts. Okay, please click below in the pointing mode to continue. The second cursor mode is indicated by the cursor's image featuring a hand. Yep. The mode concerns interacting with objects. Right. Okay. Oh, okay. I wasn't on top of it the right way the first time. Got to be directly on top of it in the way that it likes. Oh, I'm the trash can. Oh, I forgot to. Yeah, there's a trash can right there. There have been a situation in Growing My Grandpa that require you to pick things up, place things, grab things, or give things. Don't be afraid to experiment and keep an open mind about using your hand. Please click the button below to continue. Remember, many buttons must be clicked in the pointer mode. Right, got it. In order to expedite the cleaning process, you can use digits 1, 2, 3 on your keyboard number row to reposition the trash can below. Oh, okay. Well done. Please click continue button. A variety of video options can be changed. F3, right. By default, Growing My Grandpa's display is scaled up by a factor of 2 and the shader is set at low. Okay. Oh, the pointer options, right. Okay. Hovering over the small question mark in the top right provides an overlay related to available configuration. I'm just trying hovering over it. Okay. At all times during the game. Okay. Oh, cool. All right. Thus ends the tutorial. I hope you enjoyed Growing My Grandpa. Infinite thanks to my patrons and supporters for believing me in my work. Yames. Thank you, Yames. Yo, Citro was 78. What up, baby? Like a tampon. Once I had a taste of blood, I wanted more. I want more. All right, week 1. I excused Adrian during music class today and spoke with her about her recent string of demerits. It was our first time meeting outside of our quarterly evaluations, and I believe it went well. I can certainly understand Mrs. Richardson's classroom observations concerning Adrian's emotional state. She was, of course, intensely shy when we first met. As I understand it, she is similarly withdrawn in her classroom activities and only speaks or acts when she absolutely must. Some things she simply will not do. Instead of participating in mandatory group activities, she will sit alone and accept that she will receive a demerit. Before the meeting, wow. Is that speaking to anybody here? Not me. I love being in groups and stuff, but it sounds like us. Before the meeting, I was friends with these people. Like, I would make it a point. I was that annoying friend. I made lifelong friends this way. Where I would find the kid who isolated themselves and go, like, make it a point to be their friend. Before the meeting, I read Mrs. Richardson's parent-teacher report, which allowed me to estimate some about Adrian's home life. The parents are well educated and come from a prestigious background, but they lack time to properly nurture Adrian. She is often alone, and when she is not, the parents seem to not understand the importance of warmth and affirmation when dealing with someone so young. Having two parents of this reserved and icy temperaments exacts an inhibition in a child. The child's imagination is subdued, but only ostensibly, for it eventually finds its way into regular life. I surmised that I would be able to reach out to Adrian by way of make-believe. Oh, okay. For all the jokes I make about Zeke's actually pretty decent human being. Zeke is the extrovert that reaches out to the awkward or introverts. I totally. I was always that guy. I always found the dude or the chick who was sitting in the corner, like, reading their way too thick book, trying to avoid everybody. And I go sit by them and wait for them to talk to me, because they would eventually get, like, uncomfortable and annoyed that someone came to sit by them, and they would didn't even need to they just look at me. They looked at me. That's my in. Hi, how you doing? No, I would, if they wanted me to go away, I would go away. But more often than not, you know, people want friends, even the introverts. Beyond Boredom, thank you for 68 months. Tier 3, no less.
Who's your daddy? Come on, you know who your daddy is. Who's your daddy? Dargo, tell him who his daddy is.
I'm your daddy. That's right, I'm your daddy. And there's the Beast with 86. I read a book about Stockholm Syndrome. I didn't like it at first, but by the end of it, I loved it. That's great. It's a joke for those that don't get that. 86 years, holy crap. Indeed. I liked your joke. It was a good joke. How are you liking your new house? You told me you used to live close by, but it can still be a big adjustment. A new room, a new school. The basement, I like that. The basement? Yeah, well, there's lots of cool stuff. Mom and Dad sent me down there. Your mom and dad made you go? Yeah, but there's lots of cool stuff. Well, that's not why they sent me down there, though. Why did they send you down there? Fighting. They were fighting, shouting. I came in to help, and they shouted at me. They said, go clean up downstairs. So I went. That sounds tough. Do they fight a lot? No, well, it's all right, Adrian. Maybe you can tell me more about the basement instead. Okay, well, it was weird at first, this stuff down there, but cool. I found something living, sort of. That's very interesting, Adrian. Please tell me more. By indulging her in her fantasies and stories, I was able to glean more of an understanding of Adrian's anxiety surrounding her home and parents. The symbols of Adrian's story seem to carry their own traumatic weight, and her exploration of the basement may very well be a vehicle for the conveyance of her anxiety. Whatever might come of our next meeting, whether she will engage in similar make-believe, I will set down her story here. Adrian's story begins with her delving into the basement with a trash receptacle and the goal of cleaning up. Okay, so this is me. She discovered one of the walls was covered in plastic bags. She went to investigate, intent on tearing away whatever they covered. I'm getting, like, anybody ever read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac? I'm getting that, like, that kind of vibe from this. I'll just put the trash, put it right in my head here. There we go. Upon removing the plastic trash bags from the wall, she noticed their interior lining was covered in glass. Like a window, I offered. No, she said, like a mirror. Reflecting inward towards the animal they covered. This is not what I expected. I gently asked her what exactly this animal was. Here is where the material reality of the story took a turn for the explicitly fantastic and imaginary. Upon her discovery of it at her gaze, it grew or extended its shaggy haired self. Hair like the fur of a dog, I offered. Hair like the fur of a dog, I offered. No, she said. Not the fur of a dog, nor the hair on her head. It grew out towards her, the animal's hair reaching out. It was hard, standing almost straight, like the hair on a brush. A bristle, I offered. Yes, she said. She was very afraid at first, but then very curious. I asked her what else was in the room. More things hidden away, she said. Things of Grandpa's as well. Oh, she found a bezoar? Is that what they're called? The, like, those fur balls that get, like, you know, trapped inside the body of an animal that just keep compounding upon themselves? First, she found a hidden passage under the stairs. Inside were strange dolls, magic objects, naked, faceless figures. I heard these cryptic utterances and merely nodded. In order to keep the game of make-believe going, I only pressed for details where I thought necessary. The faceless dolls could be a simple metaphor for the anonymity she feels in her own home. The hidden passage, I am unsure of what to make of that. The revealing of the concealed seems to be thematic in her fantasy. The door under the stairs is but one example. Okay. So I'm poking and clicking and stuff, but nothing's happening yet, so I'm guessing there's something else that I have to do. The darkness of the shadowy corner unnerves you. You cannot explore here without some form of light. Oh, okay. Ah. Once she removed the panel and found the magical hidden passage, she was very specific about what she took. She found a magic book, a magic doll, a photo of her late grandpa, and magic glue. All-purpose glue. A photo of your late grandfather. Dude, that's stash, man. Oh, Mr. PhD, so he's a doctor. Okay. That mustache says to me I've been to a donkey show. Adam Palooza, thank you for 3 years, motherfucker.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, I'd like to report a crime.
Yeah.
An international war crime. That's 3 years. International war crime. Subbing to me. Mr. PhD, on the reverse side of the photograph. Flip over this photograph. There is more text. Good luck on your trip to the Urals. Stay warm. Don't touch my penis. Age Crazy, thank you for 10 months. Mountain range, north to south through western Russia. Oh, okay, so this range right here. Oh, can we... Can we change that to English? Oh, it doesn't matter. Yeah, right there. Huh. Okay. That's the border between Europe and Asia. Oh, okay. Papers crudely bound together to form a book. Eurasian steppe shamanism and the fusiform, I'm guessing on how to pronounce these, the fusiform gyrus, an interdisciplinary study in sympathetic magic, a dissertation by Jacob Hart. The impetus of this research was the recognition of a particular pattern in fragments of documents relating to magic and magico-religious practices. Numerous sources were drawn from commentaries on laws relating to the banning of sorcery and necromancy, compilations of folk charms relating to love spells, hagiographs of saints. Fuck, man, all these words. Yeah. Adulatory writing about another person. Biography that idealizes its subject. Okay. Hagiographs of saints and their encounters with devils. The list spans many centuries and a great distance from the Levant to the Khazar Khaganate to the border of the modern nation states of Russia and Kazakhstan today. Jesus. From this paper trail arose a consistent account about a certain form of magic relating to the binding of demons to a sorcerer's will. A demon called the Heaven of Needles, or the Angel of Needles, was known to be kept best by shamanic, keepers of or wards who suffer from face blindness. Ah, I know that one. Prosopagnosia. I've heard of that before. Whether by birth or through developmental causes like a stroke or head injury. Shamanic. They're known to be kept best by shamanic keepers or wards. It was known to be extremely effective but terribly dangerous, so much so that it became outlawed several times and was generally a popular scapegoat relating to unexpected death. This nexus of magico-religious meaning-making, sorcery regarding human-related desires, and the history and science of neurological disorders related to the fusiform gyrus is where the subject of the dissertation will reside. I will outline further and then analyze the historical sources I mentioned previously. Then I will go into the neurology of mystic and magico-religious experiences. After that, I will detail my ongoing correspondence with a resident of the Ural Mountain region who is an expert folklorist and keeper of traditions he claims have been passed down through his extended family for generations. Interesting. A slouching doll. Its material is rough and coarse. I interrupted to ask what she did with these magical, mysterious materials. Grow Grandpa, she explained plainly, and then without missing a beat, she continued on with her story. Feeling this was a potent symbol, I stopped her again to ask what she meant. Somewhat puzzled, I did not understand immediately. She explained slowly. Grandpa lives in the cage in the other room, the cage behind the door. They grew people in the cage. Oh, this door. Okay. A hastily written note. I've repeatedly called your homes to no avail, and so I am forced to leave this here for you all. I found William sitting in the corner of the enclosure area, seemingly severely concussed. Whiskers was gone and is in none of its usual hiding places. I immediately suspected the worst. The project thus must be suspended for now. I am leaving up the usual mirrored coverings we use to keep the anthropoidic void sealed. I have done my best to lock up everything on such short notice. It is a hasty fix, but it requires some time to find a more permanent remedy. I am honestly hoping you do not find this note, as I intend to lock the house down too. I intend to race off to you to retrieve your lockbox keys. Do not worry about William's key. It and the rest of his equipment is almost certainly deep within Whiskers now. Whiskers. I am guessing Whiskers is not just an ordinary cat. I pray you do not enter this room. No matter how it may appear, William cannot be helped, and is only being kept alive as a means of continuing predation on the rest of us. I will say once again, no matter what state you may encounter William in, he cannot be helped. I have sympathy for the young man, I truly do, but I found on his person several photos of his late sister, which would imply certain risks he knew he was taking. Our extant research materials have now become possible liabilities, either criminal or professional in nature, so I have stashed them away. I believe I let you all know how I might do this if we were ever to experience an event such as this. I hope you all remember what I told you. So long then, Dr. H. What the fuck, man? Beyond the door in the room, the cage was hidden, concealed in another cloak of inward-facing mirrors. A hidden cage lined with mirrors. It is strange, almost poetic, the elaborate fantasy of self-reflection, concealment, captivity. At the cage, she finally cast her spell. But it was confusing, she confided at first. She took the magic doll, the magic glue, and the photo of her grandpa, and she combined them, and she wished very hard. I can only assume in this fantasy that next her wish would come true. In what child's story would it not? Particular human representation, generic human figure, particular. There we go. Generic human figure. Oh, okay. I see. A tangible symbol of intention and desire. She put Grandpa in the cage, assuming that was part of the ritual. She was not clear on how it worked. What precise instructions she could glean from her grandfather's magic book was complicated by her reading comprehension. She wished with all her heart, and then she told me she waited a while for something, anything to happen. And after that time, she began to cry. I cried really hard, she said. I wanted Grandpa to be back. I wanted my parents to stop being so mean. And it hurt me. It heard me wish for Grandpa to come back, for my parents to be different. I could feel it through the walls, and it felt me through the air. I asked her what exactly she meant. She could only repeat what she said. By this time, lunch was almost over. I said goodbye to Adrienne, and she left to rejoin her class. I was left to consider our conversation. I believe the storytelling strategy I have employed was not unfruitful, but I must probe deeper if I can. Although I can be sure of nothing I interpret, the impressions I get may begin to help me get an idea of the right questions to ask. Knowledge you acquire this week has given you access to certain topics or keywords you can use to discuss with, or you can discuss with Grandpa. You've gained a conversation topic, wish. Consider discussing this when Grandpa emerges. Wow. This game has a lot more than I thought it was going to. I thought it was just going to be a funky, like, person creator simulator, but there's some braining in this. Ugly Sailor, thank you for the 22 months. Hello. I was going to put a funny joke here, but I can't think of one at all. Balls. Balls is funny in and of itself. Balls is fine. You have also gained the following keyword. Shell. Week 2. I met again with Adrienne in order to address her emotional outbursts in the past few weeks. It is our second time meeting, and while it is standard practice to have multiple sessions with a troubled student, as I assembled a report for the counseling department, I could not help but think, as we sat down in my office, that Adrienne already seemed to show a remarkable change in self-esteem and confidence, and perhaps my and Mrs. Richardson's estimation of her as emotionally disturbed was erroneous. The paralyzing shyness and withdrawn attitude Adrienne possessed last week was not entirely diminished, but she seemed to hold herself differently this week. However, this only lasted as long as our conversation pertained to initial introductory pleasantries. When I began once again asking about her parents, her feelings regarding her new school and her new home, she quickly lost what new confidence she had gathered up and withdrew again into herself. So once again, I partook in some collaborative make-believe, but this time I was aided by the fact that I had managed to do some research into Adrienne's grandfather, and I had some insight into what she might actually be finding in the basement. Now, this may be overstepping my bounds some as a school counseling caseworker, but this was all in the service of making Adrienne comfortable and happy in this learning environment. In any case, I was able to dig up information regarding the grandfather by inquiring at the university in town. Not that I make it a habit of sleuthing, but I had a suspicion that the grandfather was a professor there, or at least some sort of researcher, due to the fact that the newly constructed laboratory on the campus I drive by every day bears his name in memorial. He was some sort of anthropologist or linguist or neuroscientist. I did not have to dig that deep before the scope of his work became dizzying and I ran up against the limits of my undergraduate education. But back to the make-believe. What is your grandpa like? Is he a smart man? Is he a kind man? Is he a good man? Not anymore, but I'm teaching him. So he's grown a good deal then. You've been feeding him well? Yeah, he is getting bigger, but he has a lot of room in his cage. He's still behind the bars? Yeah, well, he might be able to climb out eventually. There's this vent in the ceiling. Well, perhaps if he climbs out, I could meet him someday. Yeah, maybe. But he's not ready to leave. He can't take care of himself. I have to feed him, pick up after him. You store the food in your lunchbox. That's nice of you to share. He can almost talk. You cannot speak with him? He doesn't have a mouth, sort of. But how do you feed him? He has a mouth on the outside, on his shell, or the stuff that is his skin. I'm a little confused. Maybe you can go through a typical day with your grandpa. Okay. I asked her to explain how exactly she goes about growing her grandpa, and Adrienne began another tale. According to Adrienne, in the week that had passed, much had changed in the basement. The hairy thing that was here before is gone. Oh shit. Your lunchbox is currently empty. Seek out food for Grandpa! You should go see Grandpa first. Okay, I will. Wake Grandpa. It was scary at first, she said. The way he moved, the way the doll's skin covered him. I wanted to interject. This somehow seemed inappropriate, but I kept listening. When I look at him, she continued, when I think about him, he grows and moves. It's like he's growing for me. So he's growing bigger now, I asked. Yes, she said. Bigger every day. Dude, they kind of nailed the atmosphere on this, man. I'm very intrigued. This begins the actual growing part of growing your grandpa. Beneath the doll's burlap skin, the follicles knit together what resembles a proper person, your grandpa. You are in charge of its cognitive development and diet until it is able to sustain itself. Currently, you are observing Grandpa. Please click the arrow back button below for a brief tutorial of your duties as caretaker. Here we can see a variety of options regarding growing your grandpa. Highlighted in red are objectives related to feeding and teaching Grandpa. Important messages regarding Grandpa's recent activity will also appear here. You will need to find it food and learning material before you can move on to the next week. Some foods will make Grandpa happy, others merely content. Some foods will make Grandpa disgusted to the point of nausea. Learning material is also scattered throughout the basement. Seek out vocabulary cards intended to help teach English and basic anthropoidic concept formation. The options highlighted in red are related to navigating around Grandpa's enclosure. Go to Grandpa option will let you perform all actions directly related to Grandpa, feeding, teaching, observing. Accessing the study corner will let you go over any documents you pick up as weeks go by. It's a good idea to learn about the work of the people who last occupied this space. Accessing the kitchen corner will let you search for food in the old refrigerator and prepare food for Grandpa if need be. Hell button will replay this tutorial. Save game. You can only have one save file at a time. So if you have save data, you will be asked if it's okay to overwrite it. Got it. Yep. More buttons may or may not appear depending on your development with Grandpa, so watch out for them. One final note. Take care to explore the basement at your leisure. However, due to the entropic nature of clutter and trash, different weeks may allow you to find things you had not previously discovered. Good luck. Okay. So I need to find 2 acceptable foods for Grandpa and 2 words taught. Okay. Oh. Wait a minute, what? Why am... Oh. Should I be throwing these away? Oh, okay, there's something underneath, okay. A set of procedures regarding disposal internment. Wait, internment. I thought it was internment with an NM. Is it interment with just an M? Might be a typo. Well, internment, I thought meant like burying. Like, oh, so interment is hold. Okay, hold on. Whoops. Off of home row. The burial of a corpse. Oh, no, interment. It's, okay. Burial of a corpse. Okay, funeral rites. Is internment, maybe that's not even a word. Oh, internment is a state of being confined as a prisoner. Okay, so I had my definitions confused. Interment is burial. Internment is like an internment camp. Okay. Okay. The researcher will seal off the enclosure bars, ensuring minimal gas leakage during the later fumigation process, and then retrieve the burned barrel and place it near the enclosure. Allow at least 48 hours of time where the current growth cycle experience. Okay. Okay, this is when I want to Okay. When I want to dispose of Grandpa, I think. And maybe try a new Grandpa. All clean. This space will not be dirty again until next week. Oh, good. An account of an acquisition. It was said to pass from one family of steppe people to another, but pressed on its ultimate origin, illegible, somewhere to the south. Coiled in a bowl, covered in incantations, buried upside down by a graveyard, a common late antiquity demon trap. The keeper, an elderly man in failing health, was ready to expound on and on about the dangers of the organism, but when I asked more pointed questions about the history of its acquisition, I was given curt responses that had a way of circling back to vague warnings. Oh, they're cashews. I thought those were entrails. Can't have a grandpa omelet without breaking a few grandpas. It looks inedible, or looks edible. Grandpa might like this. Okay, it doesn't look like anything else. Okay. Linguistics module. Vocabulary card. Grandpa. Teach Grandpa this word to read the notes of past educators. Okay. I will admit, taking it back to the trash can seems like unnecessary. You remove the tape down fabric to reveal the cabinet's wooden bottom. A note regarding cleanup procedures. To my colleagues, I don't mean to be over severe in tone, but Dr. Hart's work is very important to the material, and the material we are working with is potentially very dangerous. I will be handing out a copy of this note as a reminder to everyone. I'm not trying to single any particular blah, 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 blah. The active growth must be thoroughly terminated via the correct procedures at the very least 4 weeks after dormancy is interrupted. It doesn't matter what you've done or haven't done regarding tests or procedures or how much the anthropoid vacuum has been disrupted. We are not ready to go beyond 4 weeks at this point. A step-by-step guide to the termination has been posted by the enclosure. I saw that. Do not disrupt the anthropoid vacuum without Dr. Hart's prior consultation and approval. In case of any emergency where the vacuum is disrupted, put on your equipment and begin the lockdown procedure. Make an extensive note of when and how the breach occurred. If you find the habitat empty, page Dr. Hart immediately, but do not attempt to speak with anyone else. This thing can get very smart. I'm sure you're all well aware from the stories we heard on our acquisition trip. The greatest caution should be used when dealing with a potential aggressive mimicry scenario. Oh my God, I'm making the thing. Please seek me out if you have any more questions. I'm making the thing. Notation regarding sample exoskeletons. Research participants, please take note. Each growth from a cycle does not require a shell, but you may find the sample will often try to seize on something somewhat flexible it can grow into, along with the serious yield it may generate, or else it will move from one shell to the next as it outgrows them. In the small amount of time I have spent with it in preparation, I have noticed it tends towards human forms. However, we should keep a tight lid on the anthropoidic seal in order to be cautious before we begin to experiment with exposing it to long-term anthropoid stimuli. Medical imaging device. Okay, I don't know what that does yet. Lettuce. It looks edible. Grandpa might like this. Brown banana. Looks edible. I got a brown banana for grandma, you know what I mean? Hold on, before we prepare food. Okay, now let's do it. Forgot. Okay. Unappealing item. Oh, okay, so if I want to feed him something that he doesn't want, you hide it. Oh my God. You hide it in like a, peanut butter, like, pill for dogs. All right, let's go to Grandpa. Observe. You examine Grandpa, noting its movements, respiration, and general mood. Grandpa seems sort of sluggish and bored. You get the feeling it may be more content and readily cooperative once fed and taught a word or two. No response. Okay, teach Grandpa. Would you like to view the tutorial before you start? You will not be prompted again. Yes, sure. Example, this brief tutorial will go over teaching Grandpa pronunciation and vocalization. The vocabulary word you picked will appear in the top left corner. In the bottom right corner will be a pentagon divided up into 8 sections. The section of the pentagon will be highlighted briefly. A notification sound will play, and soon another section will be highlighted. You will control a small round icon that sits above the pentagram by using your mouse. The ball is constrained to the limits of the pentagon. The goal is to keep your icon over the highlighted area and move it as the area changes sections around the pentagon. When you hold left click above the correct highlighted area, the icon will start to vibrate along with the simulated vocal cords, and the current letter of your word will begin to turn red. Keep holding over the highlighted section and adjust your icon as it changes place. Soon the letter will become fully red. After every letter becomes red, Grandpa will proudly pronounce the word to you, and it will be considered learned. Teaching Grandpa these words will accelerate its cognitive development and lead to further breakthroughs in general intelligence. Yes. You approach a small window and something else. Oh, okay. Okay, so I was making headway. All right. Deep within Grandpa, strange membranes phonate confidently. Grandpa. Having completed the lesson, you take a look back at the back of the vocabulary module card and the notes there written by administrators of the past. Grandpa, part of the vocabulary, general pronunciation comments, usual trouble with articulation, voice thin, raspy, possible Underdeveloped larynx, module comments, see below. We have done several sessions of what we are calling familial relation simulation. I and a co-researcher sit in chairs opposite the enclosure. We are wearing the usual mask, and we begin to act out a scene, mostly through improvisation, that might roughly resemble a kitchen table conversation between an immediate family. All right, I need a place. Kitchen? Okay. Now I need a relationship between two people. Grandfather, grandson. Okay. Citro gifting a sub to Solipsist, who now is 26 months. Thank you, Citro. Welcome back, Solipsist. Repeated trials reveal, although our simulated conversation was purposely vague and unspecific regarding persons and identities, we'd only address each other as brother, father, sister, etc. It soon became apparent that encoded information and associations we unconsciously drawn upon when hearing and speaking these words was picked up on by Whiskers and its psi-type field of reception interpretation of brain-mind event semantic content. My co-researcher William noticed that this in a simulation where Whiskers was given a role as a sister and he as a brother. I was the father. Whiskers began responding to certain prompts with unusual specificity, as well as a general pattern and timbre of speech that continued with unusual consistency. As soon as the simulation ended and we left the enclosure area, William let me know that Whiskers was almost certainly drawing from encoded memories of his late sister. Mapping out exactly what regions and centers of neural activity are intercepted by the psi-type field will take extensive neuroimaging that we do not have at this site. Currently, we only have less precise portable equipment. However, our experiences so far are eerily in line with folk knowledge and folk explanations regarding the being's access to desires, and we can begin to infer it has access to certain portions of the limbic system and the ventral temporal cortex. You step away from the bars and store the module card at the document table. A little girl is reading this and relaying it? Yeah, sure, right. I believe that. Yes. Okay. Select item from the lunchbox. Contents of the lunchbox will be displayed. Oh, select an item from the lunchbox. Nice food, bad food. Doing so will fill your hand with this item. Note that any food can be put back into the lunchbox by clicking on the lunchbox with a full hand. Oh, okay. Before Grandpa can be fed, it must judge the food by smell. Hover your hand above Grandpa's olfactory bulbs. If Grandpa is pleased, it will allow you to feed it. Most foods Grandpa will accept, however, getting Grandpa to consume other things requires some culinary deception. When Grandpa is willing to be fed, however, your hand over his mouth, click. Okay. Grandpa will then consume the food. Good luck. Okay. Click on Grandpa's nostrils, left of its mouth. Wait, what? Well, he seems indifferent to it. Indifferent. Okay. Oh, sate its hunger, but that is all. Okay, so it's indifferent to all this. The meal appears to have been sufficient. Grandpa loves these nuts! Meal appears to have been sufficient. Okay. I'll save the banana for later. I guess. Grandpa. I asked Grandpa if he wanted a frozen banana, and he said no. But he wanted a banana later, so yes. And locomotes towards his favorite corner. Ah, digestible food, good. I don't think that's really necessary to make me drag it every time. I wish I could just grab it and then right click to dispose of it in the trash can. Blueberries. So grandma's like a Tamagotchi? Virtual pet elements. Yes, they knew that. And indeed. That looks like a face. All right, I'm gonna keep playing this for about another 20 minutes, but then we'll switch. So be sure to vote on what you want to see next. But this game is, like, even with all the reading, it's pretty fucking intriguing, man. Before we began, he had us all cover our faces completely. An earthenware pot was illegible, and on the inside, as we stole brief glances at it, we could see the interior was inlaid with mirrors. The illegible gave it small pieces of dough, spoiled food, chicken feed, illegible, keeping it content. The keeper gestured towards a small bag where the food composted, and told us to be careful not to feed it any meat. I asked if the rotting food was enough to sustain it, how it might get nutrients from any of this. The keeper regarded me seriously and said it did not matter what it was fed. The act of feeding itself was what mattered. The act of feeding flesh is another act, however. He then gave me another series of grave warnings regarding not keeping any animal-derived foods near where I might be keeping it. Wow, okay, so don't give it any meat. Got it. Okay, so this is locked. I need a key for that. Okay. What up, Fingerlin? How you doing? Something about the painting looks strange. A folder full of radiographic images. Oh, radiographic images. That's the imaging system that I had before. Fiberglass insulation. Oh my god, it isn't really food. Grandpa might eat it, however. Oh, we're gonna give him a fiberglass banana. You bet. Been waiting for that. The waste here smells particularly strong. Fiberglass man, yes. How'd you learn my nickname? Nickname for your member is Fiberglass Banana? Ugh. You need a better nickname for that shit, dude. That's terrible. No one wants to suck that. I'll tell you that much. It'll make their inside of the mouth all itchy. A simple paper doll might be useful in construction of magic symbols. Sure. Trash. Oh, hello. There we go. Corroded battery. Fucking isn't really food. Fucking why would I feed him a battery? That sounds terrible. Zeppinit gifting a sub to Omarede. Now it's 4 months. I don't know why that deserved a sub, but okay. Sure. Something appears to be growing from the wall. You take a closer look. The bulbous growth. A pulsating sac. The slimy membrane that is its skin seems to contain something. It might be able to be opened with a blade. Ah, needs some form of light. Okay, I'm guessing once I have that. Oh, so I can grow something else. Perhaps. No, what I didn't do before, the reason why the one previously took way longer is because I was moving the mouse and then clicking on it. I could just hold it down and just move it the whole time. There's no, like, it doesn't seem like there's a penalty for not being on the right thing. Deep within Grandpa, strange membranes, phonate, yeah. Completed the lesson, you take a look, yep. Hello, part of the sloppy general pronunciation comments, sloppy articulation mode. We are already encountering some difficulty as Whisker's subjectivity is so much determined by a diverse and dynamic array of influences. It attempts to mimic the thoughts and desires it passively intercepts, and these imitations go on to structure the basis of its identity. Only later in Whisker's growth cycle does it begin to form an identity or identities that are coherent and capable of resembling a sane, rational human being when engaged in conversation. One must imagine how hard it would be to converse with someone who is not yet oriented in one particular way towards who or how they are, because they might have 20 different honest answers to those questions, all of them mixed and muddled together. Because of this, we have started with the basics of conversation, greetings, paintings, identifying one another, forming questions, etc. It is fortunate Whisker's current growth, number 19, I believe, has developed a mostly accurate human-mouse simulation. Hello was a bit of a challenge in the previous growth, as it had failed to develop an adequate organ to act as a human tongue. Wow, dude, this is fucking cool. The game I sent you got delivered today, so, you know, there's something in your box if they don't tell you. Okay. They do tell me. They email me, but... and I go get those on Mondays. Sometimes on Sundays. No, I don't get them on Sundays because they close early. But I get them on Mondays. So I will have it by Tuesday. Okay, so I fed Grandpa. I taught him 2 words. Let's see if we can... What is he doing? Content, ready to cooperate. Okay, attempt to communicate. Grandpa sees your request and approaches the bars and begins to unknit its skin. The inner Grandpa, though still not fully formed, is revealed. It may be fruitful to speak with it if it can respond. Ask about wish. With a great deal of effort, Grandpa gurgles fragmented thoughts through its ill-formed lips. Mother or father, lives out of the air. The dark spiny filaments that make up the majority of Grandpa's body begin to oscillate rapidly. The air behind your eyes. The air behind your eyes. I can taste it. With a great deal of effort, Grandpa gurgles fragmented. Okay. Skin my
body, all human skin around me. Give more, grow more to fit.
Okay. He's getting too big for his skin. Got it. What's the biohazard bin? It fails to produce more than a wet and frustrated sputtering noise. Goodbye. Wow. Go to the study center. There we go. Medical imaging device. Yep. Here we go. Propagation number 21. Day 19 after dormancy. And the vacuum broken. Yes. Terminated at 21 days. Intriguing results with regard to the mimic hypothesis. A participant entered a sealed chamber adjacent to Whiskers, growth cycle number 21, which had been freed from the anthropoidic vacuum, constructed quite economically from plastic and broken mirrors. The first propagation's original earthenware vacuum was shattered during the move-in. Between the two, there was a semi-opaque glass panel that allowed observation both ways. So they put a human in a cage next, or maybe not in a cage, but next to Whiskers. The human participant was asked to think of someone in the popular consciousness, fictional or no, and cogitate on their image, personality, face if possible, voice if possible, etc. Our participant chose Jesus of Nazareth. Oh, great idea. And with weekly repeated exposure to the participant's imaginings propagation number 21 began forming what resembled an anthropoid Nazarene in the fold of its spines. So he grew Jesus on his back. Previous human-oriented tests have always bore out a result that Whiskers would form an anthropoid team member, be it me or Dr. Hart or Gerald, and we assumed it was merely mimicking one of us. Dr. Hart has always contended that the Desirous yield, or the anthropoid reproduction Whiskers creates when in contact with human beings, has always been based on the conception and relation to the person through someone else. With this framework, the Desirous yield is not actually a replica of a person, or if it is only a replica of the fiction of a person generated in the mind of another. So if I start thinking of Superman, he's gonna start growing Superman out his back? That's awesome. The Desirous yield was not Jesus Christ, but the participant's image of Jesus assembled from their religious upbringing, religious artwork, depictions in popular culture, etc. This radiograph was taken right before the destruction of the growth cycle, while Whiskers was rendered unconscious via fumigation. It seems like with every successive propagation, the stem cells in the organism work a little faster. But I'm not paranoid. It's technically deathless, yes, but we're burning up whatever knowledge is gained when we incinerate it. I don't believe in magic just yet. Propagation number 2, day 0 after dormancy, and termination at 6 days. We have taken to calling it Whiskers. Oh, this is propagation number 2. Though, of course, because of the hairs that come out of it. Whiskers. Okay. That's how it starts, is a bunch of whiskers. Yeah, dude, grow a co, let it stream, keep the money, retire. Oh my god. Zeke, don't you know the old saying, when there was only one set of footprints in the sand, that was the Jesus growing from your back carrying you? Oh, right, that's how it goes, I forgot. Taking calling Whiskers, though of course some have interpreted it as hair or needles or quills, but Whiskers is more accurate, as the needles are really more like suprasensory follicles or spines. The nerve nets distributed throughout the morphology of these spines resemble those of genus Hydra, but have myelin sheaths that are functionally the same as vertebrae. As we can see in the X-ray, each spine is laden with dense optical arrangements similar to compound eyes. It's a beholder? The Hydra connection is assuredly worth investigating with regard to the organism's capacity for regeneration and anecdotal deathlessness. It certainly is a robust enough creature to inspire marvel that is not untinged with fear. Well, doy. Propagation number 14. Termination at 16 days. Exposure to mammalian forms, part of a series of zoomorphic influences, because it's zoology, right? Zoomorphic influences led to further understanding of the propagation's ability to simulate the somatic stem cells that constitute fully developed animals. I write simulate in the previous statement because examining the tissue of each propagation leads me to believe its amazing capacity for accelerated growth of vastly different forms comes from its cell-level mutability. And yet, at no time does it function as the thing. See? The thing. Function as the thing it becomes, except in the sense that it mimics it. That is to say, when Whiskers is removed from dormancy and replicates a rabbit's morphology, it is not seeing from the rabbit's eyes nor smelling from the rabbit's nose, but pretending that it does and doing a very good job of it. Fuck, dude. That's why the thing creeped me out so much. And I'm sure it creeped out a lot of people, because the thing could be anybody. Or anything, really, any living thing. Propagation number 5. 10 days out of dormancy. Termination at 12. Drop me stuff. It's me. What up? Get out of here. Are you the thing? You have to tell me if you're the thing. Someone get something hot and poke its blood. This radiograph was taken at or around growth cycle number 4. The strange thing about it was the subject of the image was found nowhere near the enclosure. It's almost like a piece of Whiskers fell off and scurried into the corner. I feel like we've learned a lot since then, but at the time I remember speaking about the morphology being weird, not really even resembling any extant zoomorphic structure, besides maybe a cuttlefish. Then I happened to open the thing up. Inside were all the little dead amoeba-like things. But they all sort of looked like they had faces. Faces that were just barely there. After I took the radiograph, I gathered it up and went to go through it in the biohazard bin. Oh my god. It's like Freddy when he opens, like, oh my children. He has all those fucking faces in his chest. As I walked by the bars of the enclosure, I could hear Whiskers suddenly going wild, flopping around and grunting excitedly. Could it have smelled the cuttlefish thing? Would it eat its own production? I guess it's technically flesh. This is beyond the scope of the project, but it could be that without the stimulus of an active brain, or more specifically a healthy and active brain capable of face recognition and theory of mind, Whiskers begins to pull whatever it can from the limited data available to it. Again, this is not our focus at this time, but I left a note for Dr. Hart just in case he wanted to take a look. Dude. Hot Spicy Poutine, thank you for the gifted sub to Chicky Pack. Chick One Pack.
Hail Berserker!
Been here like 10 minutes. I wish I wasn't. Nah, you're a sub now. You gotta stay. You have no choice. So how many are there? Oh, that's it. Oh, that was the last one. Okay. So we learned about 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Okay. All right. Who hooked up their iPod to the fucking radiograph, huh? Who did it? One of you did it. Who hooked it up to their eerie music playlist? Okay, so oh, save game. Game saved, good. Okay. I think we'll end the week and see what happens. Yes. Food acquired. Okay. Why do they consider fiberglass insulation and battery food? Knowledge you acquired this week has given you access to a new conversation topic to discuss with Grandpa. Language. Okay. Interesting. Zeke, would you recommend living in Montana if rural mountain living is what I want? Yes, I absolutely would. It depends on how, like, because you probably want to live like at least close to some sort of town. It depends on how big of a town, because you probably want like groceries and mail and shit. But there are many, many, many places that you can just get away from it all. However, internet is gonna suck if you want to live somewhere rural. That's just the give and take of it. Like, you can live somewhere out in the middle of nowhere if you want, but the internet out there is gonna be slim to none, or you're gonna pay through the fucking nose for it. But if that doesn't matter to you, tons of places. The only more beautiful place, like just scenery, different sceneries, like we got mountains and plains and lakes and rivers and forests and all that kind of shit. The only place I've ever been that's more scenically beautiful with different landscapes is Alaska. Alaska is like the most top, hands down, most beautiful place I've ever been, with like all the different landscapes. The only thing Montana is lacking is ocean. So if you like ocean, don't go there. There's no ocean. But also, you said rural mountain living, right? So you don't care about being bored, because that's why I left Billings, Montana as a whole, because it's pretty fucking boring. All right. Can I not? Well, I saved it, so I can just alt F4 out of it. But dude, that's a fucking interesting game. Man, it's growing my grandpa with an exclamation point. Makes it sound like it's a fucking like jokey kind of a thing, like, oh, I'm gonna make a weird grandpa thing. It's way more real than I expected. Holy shit, dude. Oh, man. Wow, that's gonna stick with me. I might have to, like, I don't know how long it is, but I might have to go back to that. It's a lot of reading, but man, it's dark too, yeah. Like, not only dark in like it's actually dark, but it's, the subject matter is dark. Man, I dig it. I dug it really, like, way more than I expected.